second day, second game of our tournament as we bring you Starladder PUBG for the very first time here. And we're going to be here trying to see Liquid. They can't continue on their win streak. It has suspended at 4, even if you count the 5th one down at TPP. I mean, 4th one, obviously at TPP, but coming in now, Liquid is going to be off the storylines now. It's going to be up to these other teams. Can they follow up to the scoreboard that Liquid has mounted for themselves?
Well, I gotta say, even though they didn't manage to get their 5th consecutive win of over the last 2 days, they did manage to eke out 12 kills. That's pretty impressive, and really, their aggression and management, they did eliminate a few teams on the way through that non-victory, but still a very excellent performance there. So right now it's Vitality. We've seen what happens when the circle shifts away from the west. Once the better team, once some of the better teams have access to a spot that's within the zone and not having to transition too long. So we'll see if that momentum continues. And even Atletico, the Australian team, coming in with a nice finish there as well, essentially securing FaZe in their building and not allowing them to move out. So at this point, it's anyone's game.
And for Vitality, it has been a start of the game for Milto and the end of the game for Milto as well. So starting and ending at their home base was kind of what saw Vitality get the chicken dinner. But also FaZe is coming at second place. They had to travel a kind of a short distance, kind of the next neighborhood, if you will, coming from Milto Power over to Milto to get second place. So FaZe and Vitality, they're still way up there in the leaderboard. They are still distanced quite heavily from Liquid at the moment. They need a few more wins and a few more high placements to get that done. We're going to see how this game powers forward. But a south to north playing path, it seems like it might actually go a little bit towards the right. It seems like the path is not going to go anywhere near Severny. It's going to go a little more towards Stalladder, it seems like. And Vega back at it. Novo is going to be back at Sosnovka military base once again.
Yeah, we're going to see that nice south to north plane path. Right side of the map, but still a decent spot there to get most teams around to their comfort zones. So looking into this game, we saw a little bit of life out of Avangard last game. They didn't manage the finish that they wanted. Ghost as well with a decent ending. Now it's going to be up to Ghost to, they're going to head north likely to that Severny area, maybe split out to Stalladder to grab that vehicle. Or potentially a vehicle up there and get that loot. But really, I'd like to see Ghost play a little bit more in their style. Now, they are playing with a stand-in this time around, so a little bit of a disadvantage. But that doesn't mean that they don't have the ability to kind of reach out there and get some of those extra kills and just maybe play their placements a little bit tidier.
So we see Yasnaya going towards Liquid once again, TSM going towards Mansion, and a little bit towards the left of Lipovka as well. So very usual locations for everyone at Frey. And we're going to see Myth, a Thailand squad coming in, trying to find a little more success than what they did in day one. They have shown definitely signs of prowess, sounds of promise when it comes to what they are capable of once the situation is right for them. But Svid and the rest of kind of the muffled double barrel here with Escalucia is going to be the nice one to start us off with. Obviously, the mid-distance shot with that is not going to work out, including the UMP.
I got to say, every time I see LG, they're taking the most dangerous possible path. They just drove right through Rozhok. Rozhok is going to have players in it. And they just decided to drive down the main street, basically defenseless. And I think that's been their biggest issue, is just their poor decision-making around their transitions and the engagements. They're split out. They're too far from each other. They seem a little bit lost here.
And we can fault individual behavior, the individual instances of bad behavior. But once the bad behaviors kind of stack themselves up, it becomes a bad habit. And that's kind of what we've seen from Luminosity that have got them kind of the real deal when it comes to their mid-game they cannot get to because of those early falters that they come through.
Yeah, I mean, it's just basic game decision-making. Not driving through super populated areas on vehicles like the buggy, the bike, whatever. But look, they're split out completely.
Again?
LG, to be fair, they're holding a specific spot in the zone, but they're sending someone so far away that if something happens to Axe or something happens to 9, they're not going to be able to support them. This is kind of the critique we've leveraged at TSM in the past, but it's so much more accentuated with LG, who are now miles apart from each other.
And with problematic teams that have come towards this Starladder event, another one is here with Avangard, with Drainies, and look if you see on the screen, other than the third member, Mumino driving the car. This team, I mean, it's our home ground. They came off a very, very good win off the championship of Katowice. What is wrong?
It's a consistency thing. And I mean, Avangard has not been known in the past, even in their online tournaments, to be consistent. They do come and win, but they're so up and down. We do see, sometimes they will win in a dominating fashion, and other times they'll bomb out in 16th place. It's up and down for them. So the name of the game is consistency. The most consistent teams will be the most successful. FaZe, Vitality, Liquid now is in the conversation, obviously. But I think that of all the teams that I've observed in my time casting, FaZe is they're not always winning games, but they're always in the top 5.
And it's really important that FaZe continue on with today with the very first game of Day 2, ending in 2nd place. And Vega Squadron, one of the teams that we thought was going to be the second coming of Avangard. It wasn't really the case that we saw out of them, at least for this first Day 2. And coming in, GOL, also a Chinese team that really wanted to make statements, and they've done sort of it. And obviously, I think just generally, I think Chinese teams have been a little more impressive than even Avangard, even Vega Squadron, even the likes of the teams that we have been more familiar with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even with GOL, we've seen that they didn't have the best engagement with LG the last time around. I'm happy to see LG is now reformed around the Georgia area. They're going to have lots of loot available to them. They're nearby Avangard. Avangard likes to rotate around the top end of the circle. We are in a centered zone again. It is neither east nor well, I guess it's slightly west, but it's definitely in the center of the play zone. However, Vega just hasn't had the circle luck that other teams have had so far. There has not been a military circle yet in this tournament. So 4 AM split out on the military island as well. And this is just a situation where the transitions are really what's been key. Liquid's been executing, FaZe has been executing. Now it's up to the rest of these teams to try and do the same.
And 4 AM Captain, you see here, kind of just poor farming. This very much the edge. A military base all by himself with all of his rest of his teammates kind of split off. You see the rest of his teammates, Goffy and Aluka, on the top of the bridge here with C9 right below them. Frolicker. I was going to see the crate coming through. I wonder what we're going to see in this box here. I'm not gonna see it.
Well, it's nearby to C9. Looks like Frolicker might have eyes on that thing. He's gonna maybe rotate over there and try and grab it. It's within his vision, but it's a long run out there. Is it worth the risk? Frolicker unaware of people around him. I'm not sure if he's got a vehicle at his disposal, but that is a big lure, and he's just checking it out. Do I want to run out there? Is there anyone coming to it? So that would be a nice pickup for Frolicker here, and C9 needs all the help they can get. Having a bit of a tougher time today than yesterday.
Definitely makes it tougher when you're by yourself in this stranded area where Cloud9 rest of the members are down at Primorsk with 3 members over there with Frolicker, the only one on the top of the bridge below 4 AM like we mentioned before. But we see the map coming in, the mini-map indicating to us that Atletico, Pongo, and Net4 is going to be joining the rest of his teammates. And we're going to see TSM along with Entisays on opposing sides of these compounds here, and Smack is going to be the only one here, and they're for the very first time they make a south rotation.
Yeah, TSM has been kind of shifting around with where they loot. I think maybe just based on the plane path, not opting to go too far north, too far south. And the centric strat is something we've been seeing from teams who are just trying to kind of boost their consistency. TSM coming centered much earlier than we've seen in the past,
definitely,
where they would normally hang out on the edge.
And it really just kind of a change of strategy kind of gives the question to, was their early game the problem? Was their mid game the problem? I don't think it was, because they haven't been caught up very much in the mid to early rotation going towards the north. So suddenly changing up this strategy, thinking that they might switch it up and see how they do. But I feel like unfamiliarity is just going to be playing a factor here.
Well, potentially, but I mean, Vis is not able to get all of his loot yet. He's still without a helmet, needs to, still do a little bit more looting. They can't transport helmets for each other, so Vis has to continue to run around and grab some loot. But this is a shift that we've seen in the past where teams have kind of abandoned a certain strategist. Frolicker still cautiously making his way towards his crate.
That's
going to be a very nice pickup. That level 3 helmet and the 8X and the Mark 14, and Frolicker is going to pick that up.
You know what, I can bet you he's been looking at the crate. He has stopped his looting phase for quite a while. He's just been looking at this whole time for the past 5 minutes. But Frolicker getting the Mark 14. Let's talk about that weapon just a little bit. We talked about in the analyst stats that Car 98 might not be the answer in squad matches with SKS and Mini 14 even kind of just dominating that over 2, but Mythic right here, along with Atletico. We're going to see something here.
It looks like they've just taken out actually Ghost. The scout vehicle for Ghost, again, getting eliminated. We've been talking about this through the tournament. Unfortunately, when the teams that have these scouts go out on the long distance treks, Ghost having come all the way from the north, they've just lost McCoy, so that's going to be a very, very tough loss for them so early in the game. But these long-distance scouts just aren't worth it because they die so often.
We're going to see here, Ghost with one man dying. We all see another. It seems like another, scout is coming from Ghost as well, with Profi kind of distance away from Austin and the rest of his teammate. And see GOL here. These scout plays have been a kind of a controversial issue that we have been debating upon whether it's the right thing to do or not. Liquid has used that very effectively, mostly moved around fours, but sometimes does send out Scoom or even Jeems a little bit onto the front line away from everybody else. But you know, sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. I don't know what the correct answer is.
Well, really, I mean, there's no set standard for that. And as we look at Vega just trying to attack the rotation of GOL, I actually wanted to circle back to the point you were making regarding the SKS and the Kar 98. The Mark 14 is just a better version of the SKS. So in squad play, I think the Mark 14 is the best possible Cray weapon you can have. The 249 is a close second, but really the Mark 14 has the flexibility that the SKS does, with more damage, higher bullet velocity, and the ability to just take people down and then finish those kills as well, because it's just, you can't escape it. It's a really great weapon. Not to mention, you switch a red dot onto that thing and throw it onto full auto, and it's the best AR in the game as well.
Definitely, and it's going to be the Mark 14 being picked up by Frolicker. I want to know what he can do with it. Still, C9 is going to be kind of trapped up by himself, but we do see Tempo Storm being shot down by Mumino from range with that Scar, with the hollow sight trying to make that work out, but really does not come into unproductivity. He's actually getting the other way around the damage, and another knock coming in from Avangard, and this might be another situation where Avangard just having one man down in very critical situation in the early game.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that's been happening time and time again with some of these teams, especially, I mean, Avangard having on Octave go down. This is going to be a loss. Looks like they are going to be able to get the res on here, so that's going to be a bit of a tough break for them, but not a total loss.
And just to boost the confidence, is that what Avangard really needs to push forward with this. But you know, getting knocks like that, not winning out trades and not winning out fights, how does that really translate into how aggressive this team, while they normally would, be progressing forward?
Well, you can't be aggressive when you're constantly taking casualties, and that's something that's just not going to happen. So Avangard is best when they have a little bit of time and space, but it's just the management of position, the lines of sight. They've been getting knocked from long distance, and when they do get into fights, they split and get a little bit, I guess, razzled when they just don't get that initial knock and they can't trade out.
And that really, it seems to be the indication of what Avangard is at the current stage. You talked about ups and downs with this team. Only much downs with kind of how Avangard have been showing up in the first 2 days of Starladder, and here they are once again trying to make their statements count. But coming in, Myth, Atletico, still on opposing sides. Uncry is going to be the only member that we see on the map here. He's going to be alone with Hefa, kind of off to the distance here. And it's going to be also Samty from Liquid, trying to make a kind of a weird entrance that we don't usually see them in.
Yeah, and with Liquid, this is a nice little hold. I like this split. You know, Samty right now by himself, but the way he's positioned himself in this area is really nice. He's got great natural cover, lots of vision, and with Atletico nearby, there's not a lot of pressure on right now as Liquid's very spread out. I think that they're just trying to see what this next transition is going to do. They have the ability to rotate back to each other, but right now Scoom is with another teammate there, but Jeems and Samty are by themselves. So we are going to see a Western Circle.
Goodness.
So
please.
It's not in anyone but Avangard's favor right now. So this is going to be up to Liquid to try and, you know, enter a zone that they're very familiar with now.
But not having a first circle towards the extreme west makes this circle a little bit different than what we've been seeing so far. But Liquid trying to make their positions early, gonna go towards that compound where Hefa is located. Wonder if he can put the fire back here. Hefa would have heard the shots coming in, and the fire is gonna be going towards some of the Liquid bands. And Hefa trying to get some shots onto key members of Liquid, but really doesn't come in with a knock.
No, and it's just a matter of picking up some information. So Atletico, at this stage of the game, you don't have to worry too much about going 4-on-4 with your team fights, but just understanding who's around you as you're picking up those key spots inside the new play zone.
It really is, and Vega and GOL here trying to be the trying to let the passageway through as we see GOL go without much trouble and to pass, and Entis Ace also onto the left is going to go without much trouble coming from the interruption. Vega Squadron playing very passive with the farmhouse that they do have. It's not going to be much of a thing where, you know, they do see multiple cars moving left and right, but they do not take the shots.
So FaZe actually picking up a casualty there. Mixie eliminated. Looks like it was IFTY taking him down.
Yeah.
Myth has taken up a nice spot here as well. So this little zone around the middle of the map in the school area is suddenly becoming more populated. So I like the way that Myth has kind of situated themselves, but they are now looking right down the barrel at FaZe.
I mean, we need to look at this mini-map here, and all these people are clustered up in the bottom right side of the map because they are trying to make their early entrance. No one is opting for the late entrance, maybe except Vitality and GOL onto the bottom right, but it's really important to that all these circle clusters that will happen. Nobody's on the mountain that is on the very top left side of the map at the moment, but in this situation, are we going to see a lot of kills coming through from either side?
Well, no, this just wasn't expected, this drastic shift. We typically will see a more centered transition. So now everyone having to move from spread out around the last play zone into this, again, western-centered play zone. There's nothing that they can really do but come in on the edges that are closer to them because, again, we talked about it with scouts. You can't transition in vehicles for too long because you run a ton of risks. Liquid opting for the natural cover rather than the building cover because they're going to know that all the good compounds will have been taken.
They do make the late entrance, and kind of be the only option left available is the field that they have to kind of just use the hills to kind of add to their protection. But right now, Liquid Ibiza and the rest of his team trying to make what's count, but last game around, they did play mostly around the fields and did not find much success as they did with the compounds game they'd had all throughout day one.
Yeah, and really with Liquid, it's about, this is trying to, you know, it's stressing them out. This is not something where they can just coast into a compound in the mid-game and hold it, even though they do a good job of managing the engagements afterwards. Tempo, same deal. They've got a good piece of natural cover here. They've got lots of options to move around. But this is going to be a tale of what the next shift brings and how you're going to manage that transition out of your cover if you have to move. Being centered will eliminate some of those movements, but again, it's how you manage them when they come that makes the good teams and the great teams different.
And Vitality coming in for the hard rotation around the big circular area. GOL's going to catch the first two members of Vitality. I wonder if there's going to be not coming forward. The latter two of Shiv and also Roxe. It's going to be the one trying to go forward here, but right now, Tovelo and the rest of GOL does spot out. Vitality trying to make that big rotation. Wonder if they're going to see any cut-off coming here, but really it's going to be still a lot of cluster between many teams.
Yeah, the choke point is definitely going to establish itself around where Liquid is situated. Myth, Atletico, IFTY, and to an extent even FaZe, if the circle again shifts, they're going to be having to move past Liquid. Now, that open field that they're holding is going to allow them to put lots of fire on transitioning vehicles and potentially pick up some nice kills. That's what Liquid's been so good at, positioning themselves to get kills. And now that's why they're racking up 12 kills a game. Last game itself, again, that was another 12 kills, but every time we see Liquid position, they're in the best spot to get as many kills as possible.
And Vitality do make the successful rotation. They have to make another one because the circle does not favor them in this scenario. And Vitality, all members strong, and they know when they are 4 members strong, they might be one of the strongest teams in the world, and we know that's the case there. But they have to do another big rotation to get themselves in this next circle, circled around the ruins, and it's going to be Liquid kind of using the deja vu of what they were positioned earlier at the moment, but they do not have a compound, as you mentioned, and they do have found a little bit of compound now with Scoom and Santi trying to join Jeems and Ibiza in this fray here. They are just on the edge of this current safe zone, and they're going to have a few minutes to work on this one.
Yeah, so again, with this circle, now that we've seen it, pop, that Liquid is in a great spot to hold vision on both the field around them from the school. So IFTY, Atletico, Myth, all going to have to move towards them, or they're going to have to move to Watertown to where FaZe is. FaZe already picking up a kill onto one of IFTY's members. So that's going to be the tale of this game right now, is that shift from right to left, but Liquid in a prime position to pick off transitioning vehicles. But that southern edge of the zone is going to get very, very dense, and there's not a lot of available cover there.
And Shiv is going to be very much the extended scouting report for Vitality here, as we see the French news network being successful for Shiv, as we see the other 3 members successfully getting to the edge of the circle. Shiv, will he rotate back to his teammates where all the other 3 members are going to be looking for a fight because TSM is going to be coming in?
I've seen Avangar in this spot before. I think that this is one of their favorite spots in current play zones. It's also a strong spot in general. They have a line of sight onto Tempo. Dre taking a few shots from Mumino there, so it's going to be a good hold for them if they can maintain it. But their biggest issue is allowing teams to get too close to them, and then their fights falling apart when they can't get trades. As we see Entis taking down Vega, that's 3 casualties
Oh my
for them.
word. That's what it seems like, a car explosion. It seems like it's a lot of kills coming through just from one effort from Entis Ace. And this Korean team, I mean, I know I've seen them for a very long time and I know what their capability is, but in the FPP, I didn't know what to expect from this team. But right now, putting on constant numbers so far.
Yeah, Entis has been probably the most consistent team of the Korean Chinese the new to the FPP teams that we've seen so far. So I'm very pleased with Entis' consistency, and now they're starting to pick up a little bit of speed. And we've talked about this, and so have the analysts, that once the Korean scene potentially adopts first-person perspective, that they could become, like in many other genres, powerhouses.
You know, I would like to be humble on that statement, but I can't wait. We've seen it in the past when the Koreans pick it up. They do pick it up quite strong, but we're going to go back to Avangard here. Tempo Storm, your boy Dre is going to be knocked down, but Luke is not going to be distracted enough to put the res on quite yet. A vehicle explosion does not end up in a kill, so Avangard blowing up the vehicle with Mumino on his side, and right now your boy Dre, it might be the res coming up right now.
Yeah, the res is going to be very important. Tempo trying to maintain their strength. FaZe plinking away at the transitioning teams on the right side of the map. That circle now closing, but right now it's all Avangard versus Tempo. Avangard doing a good job so far of defending and shooting out at teams around them. Tempo still having difficulty with their positioning and fights. They haven't been able to engage one-on-one, and even when we did see them do that, they're not hitting their trades, and they're just not able to be successful in almost any sense when it comes to engagements.
And on the other side of Tempo, we do see Avangard, maybe for the very first time in this entire tournament, they do find themselves in an advantageous position to shoot others out.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen that so much, to the fact that it might be unfair to knock off Avangard just yet in this day 2 of the tournament.
Well, you can't really knock off anybody at this point. It's still anyone's game. There's lots of games left to be played. Even though we've had, a lot of consistency with who's been in the top 5, this is a long stretch of time where players will have the opportunity to, fix mistakes, change their strategies, try new things, and just evolve in this tournament to a point where, is this edge strat the right idea? Is centering the right idea? TSM's already trying to change things up, and that's something that I think is great.
And GOL, you see them on the backside of TSM. TSM's going to be hiding right behind them, trying to look for cover, trying to get some clear shots onto the Chinese team. And Zhao Ju is going to be knocked out by Vis. Oh, he just survives just barely as he gets behind the tree. And one of the members already going down for the Chinese squad, Zhao Ju. He does get the first aid kick off pretty successfully, and Obang and the rest of his teammates trying to counter back towards TSM's efforts, and really, there's not much to do when you're Xiaozhu and you have to go up against so many people. Obang gets knocked once again, and Xiaozhu on low health is going to be able to do this because Vias is just going towards right now, can get the last bit of Xiaozhu to get the knock.
Yeah, they have to finish this engagement quickly. That zone is about to start moving. 15 seconds. So it looks like they are going to get a foothold here now. They've got GOL spread out, and October having to med while his teammates are down. And it's now going to be up to October to try and clutch this.
In October, maybe not Smoke Grenade.
You spiked a football at his feet.
We're talking about a lot of sports in the past few days, and we see another football just kind of stopping the clock there on October's side, but Smoke Grenade obviously not helping it in this cause. AMPR just moves away for the rest of his teammates to take care of the job, and just right now, the circle is going to be closing in for TSM. They have to pick up the loots very, very quickly in this 1.0 AR situation. So right now, TSM getting the picks they wanted in a very clear position. Can they push forward to get a very big result out of this?
So this is where we see TSM with a benefit. Now, luckily, just looking at the map, they don't have anyone right in their path. They've just picked up a bunch of meds, potentially a bunch of meds and a bunch of gear, ammo, whatever they could, something useful for them in this next portion of the game. But now they need to form up as a team. This is where I think that they need to stay together, don't split, and start to rotate around the edge of the circle, taking out teams as they come across them.
Now we're going back to Avangard and Tempo Storm as we do see them on the opposing sides of the compounds once again. This fight has been ongoing for the past 5 minutes, and Avangard not really giving up their compounds quite yet because they are quite very much in the center of the circle at the moment. And Tempo Storm, they still have to do a little bit of moving maybe because there's going to be many teams clustering up, and you see 4 AM, you also see Team Liquid encroaching right behind them at the moment.
Yeah, Tempo now Getting a little bit engaged here. 4am, Entis kind of intermingled with each other, but Liquid's there as well. Liquid moving in force right towards Tempo.
I mean, look at all those icons. There's so much clusters happening as we see the circle closing down. And Liquid, they're going to be the ones inside the circle. They might have to face a little bit of Tempo onto their left, a little bit of Entis Ace onto the right. They do see Temeria going down to Samties here, but your boy Dre and the rest of Tempo has to be cautious of Liquid's abilities to knock down members here, but it's going to be important for Tempo to keep strong.
Tempo is just not playing with confidence right now. They're getting knocked one at a time. Avangar harassing them. They've been in this spot for so long, and now that the rest of the teams are starting to show up, they have basically no maneuverability. They've been taking too much damage. Tempo Storm needs to form up and make a play here rather than playing so passive.
Now, Team Liquid has been criticized all day for winning, kind of surprisingly, for the fact that they have been lucky with how they got done. But Liquid Scum is just trying to show why they deserve those 3 wins from yesterday. They do get some crucial kills onto 4am. Captain's got to be out in the open, but Scum is going to get the knockoff. 3 members down already, and Pizza's going to go down. And there's going to be an 11th place finish for Liquid all of a sudden.
Yeah, you know what? Avangar from their little home down in the yellows have been harassing Tempo, and they picked off Liquid as Entis goes down as well. So Avangar all of a sudden starting to awaken.
And really, just this reminds me of the Avangar that I got so excited about, Moses. And just holding that compound that gets the continuous circles onto their favor. They're just shooting at Ghost at the moment. Tempo are really happy on their heels, getting the win against Liquid on their encounter. But they still have to make the rotation count. Avangar's right in front of them.
Tempo playing the scavenger role, saying, hey, look at all these bodies we can go loot. They've been taking so much damage. They're going to be able to actually go there and replenish themselves. So that's going to be a nice pickup for Tempo. Although, I mean, they were involved, but essentially, this is just be a nice little crate drop, literally, for them. So that's going to be nice for Tempo, but they still have a path into the zone that's being guarded by Avangar and Vitality.
And you talked about the confidence issue of Tempo Storm not being aggressive even when they need to is going to be the one that's missing here. But TSM putting out numbers onto Vitality right now. Roxy is going to be right behind the rocks. Very, very much in a scaredy cat position. Is he going to survive this one? AMPR rushing from the right, and another TSM member encroaching from the left.
Nice. This is exactly what we wanted to see from TSM. They're moving as a group. Now, they're a little bit split. Looks like they have 2 behind holding, but I still don't understand. I think they're just holding position above them, so I think it's just a matter of vision right now. Solid FPS. That looks like the last man standing for C9 at the edge of the zone, having to move towards Shiv. Shiv just looking to pick up a kill there, but even for Ghost, they're coming in late as well.
And you talk about the last man standing. Shiv is the last man standing with 3 men knocked off as Shadow being the last one to be killed, not by Vis. You see on the kill feed here, Vitality Shiv is the last man left stranding. He does not want his team to end at 8th place. He wants to see a far better result out of this French squad. But after coming up a chicken the just previous round, they're gonna go down. It's hard to tell with 7th. So many people dying off instantly, and it could be about 7th or 6th place finish for Vitality.
Yeah, that was a very big flurry of teams being eliminated. Now down to 5. So this is gonna be another top 5 finish for TSM. The consistency starting to show itself, and look who it is in the top 5.
Avangar.
It's LG as well. Sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
Yes, I was gonna say
wow,
it's LG. I know. Sometimes you forget they're in the game, but they're in the top 5. So they're in the top 5. Avangar's there as well. So we're gonna see a brand new set of teams in the top 5. And this is going to be a nice finish here. Avangar still having the advantage of his own.
Moses, that was the biggest debate that I've ever heard in my life. You were going towards Avangar on the screen, and you tell me LG is still in the game.
I'm looking at them on the map. They're still in the game. I thought everyone would want to know that.
And Luminosity, they're finally back in it. And top 5 finish. It might be a first sighting ever for this entire squad throughout the tournament.
Yeah, and this is the time. I think I've said this a lot throughout the last couple of games, but this is now time. This is it for sure for LG to make a play and do something in this game. They're going against Avangar, Tempo, and TSM.
They have very much every condition needed in order to win. They're very close to this next circle. Only team that is remotely close to the circle is Avangar, still having the circle on their tracks. FaZe has to travel from the north. You see LG gonna be the only one that has to move just a little bit to get a little bit outside the combat to make it into the next circle. TSM and Tempo are going to be shooting each other. Wonder if they're going to be facing each other.
Yeah, TSM has to kind of rotate behind here, and that's what looks like exactly what they're going to do. Put pressure onto Tempo. TSM has a long distance to cover, so they're going to have to try and press here. I'd really like to see a 4-strong push with utility here.
And this might be the first time we do need to see that aggression coming from Tempo Storm, but right now the first knock coming in from AMPR with that Car 98, but at the moment, it's going to be about Tempo. Can they hold off TSM as they make their hard rush?
I don't know if they're going to opt to rush, but they do have they have to go through tempo. They have to do something here. They've got a knock. They've got an advantage. It's time to press, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do.
And they really have to do it. They don't have much time to work with this. The circle is going to be closing now. The fight is going to be happening between Tempo and TSM at the moment. Valia trying to fire back in. It's very much a safer position compared to TSM. But right now, 4-man strong for TSM. It's a very strong one to rush forward with, but you just can't knock off the fact that Valia and the rest of his team is going to be looking towards to fire back when it comes to the defensive efforts.
They have to put pressure on them right now. The nades are going to start coming out. Vis is very close. He's within nade range.
Coming in. So much shots coming back and forth. TSM and Tempo sees one casualty each. And Vis is going to see some little bit casualty as well. Zampa is going to be the only one left alive. He's just going to throw some lot of frag grenades. Using the blue circle to use as an assist where this is still going to be closing and TSM has to move in.
They're actually taking a ton of damage here. The trade's coming out. The zone is closing.
No! And we're going to see Zampa just moving forward with the circle is continuously closing, and TSM has to make the movement, but very low health for both of these members right now.
This is very difficult for TSM. They've got the zone at their back. Tempo has them caught out. TSM having to make a play now. It's a 1v1 situation, 3 down for TSM. This is huge for Smack. He has to clutch this, but he's not going to be able to save his teammates.
Oh, and all of a sudden it's a 1v1 scenario between Tempo and TSM. Will he get the last kill? Yes, he does, but Tempo dies out from the other side, coming in from Avangar.
So that was Tempo finally eliminating TSM, but Avangar completely ruins the party, and now it's going to be Avangar, LG, and I think that's FaZe.
Yeah, it is
still up. The sneaky FaZe having held on to the ruins, moving in slowly. LG now on the spotlight.
And FaZe is playing the liquid meta of not firing a single shot before they get to the end of the game. And we're here once again, Luminosity, the Avangar, the two teams we had so many questions over. Now they are here in top 3. And any of this team with 4-man strong, other than FaZe only having 3, any of these teams can get the win here.
So LG with 0 kills currently, having to face down Avangar and FaZe. This is going to be a huge, huge obstacle for them. But this is now an opportunity for them to kind of make a stand and show them, or show each other what they're capable of, and show us what they're capable of as well.
They're going to be encroaching FaZe from the flank here. They're going to make the hard rotation around the circle, but FaZe does spot them out. Avangar's going to be shot at first with the frag grenade and the Hexeti, and the rest of FaZe and the FaZe clan. They're going to be looking towards it. They have to look towards the left, looking side of Avangar, but they have to also look to the right of LG. So it's going to be FaZe versus the world at this moment with the 3-team scenario.
Avangar has taken a hold in the zone. FaZe just looking to make sure they're not going to get flanked. They're probably going to try and ride this zone in, but it looks like Hax is going to try and flank out and get some information here, running right into Avangar.
You're going to see the action here. Hexeti might have to spot out Drainy's first, but who's going to be the first one to take the shot? Drainy making the very hard rush into this now. FaZe territory. They can't get out of this hole here. I wonder if Drainy's is going to be spotted here. They hear the footsteps coming in. FaZe, he hears it, but Drainy, he gets the first knockoff. So the first knockoff coming towards FaZe. Now it's a 3v3 scenario if they pull up a full team fight, but at the moment being FaZe, Yempty, and the rest of FaZe coming in. They have to be careful how they approach it because Keen and the rest of Avangar can make the hard attack here. Yempty going against 9X. He barely gets the kill onto Yempty onto here. 9X is going to go down for LG. So 3-man scenario for LG. Are they going to go forward with this and try to knock out the rest of the members of FaZe?
So right now it's going to be up to FaZe to try and deal with Avangar. Drainus is down. I'm not sure if they're going to have time to go for the res. The utility has come out for FaZe now, so they're going to have to come across or come out of their cover and breach this hill. So Yempty picking up a little bit of loot there, going to bandage his wounds, make sure he's capable and ready to fight here.
And Yempty here, you see, this is a very good defensive effort we've seen from FaZe so far. They had to defend left towards Avangar, right towards LG at the moment, so Luminosity Gaming. They're going to fire at each other. It's going to be Luminosity Gaming versus Avangar firing at each other. FaZe trying to be the benefactor of this one, trying to get into the circle just safely. They do that. So Avangar, everyone, all these 3 teams are in the circle at the moment. Technosh is going to get shot a little bit towards the left. Mumino is going to shot them on the right. They have to worry about FaZe onto the most closest distance away from them.
Yeah, right now LG is just kind of distracting FaZe, allowing Avangar to kind of position themselves, but Hacks down to Axe. So that's going to be another down here for LG.
Okay, Hexeti is going to get the knock onto Axe, which will not be res by any of these 2 members of LG. Luminosity has to be smart about how they approach this. All of them are inside the circle, but they have to try to get some kill knocks. That was going to be a very important point that we're going to track here.
So Avangar has technically the advantage in the zone, but they're starting to spread out. They're looking at FaZe. Avangar more interested in dealing with LG. I think both teams recognize that they're Gonna just have to put pressure on the Brazilian team here, not opting to shoot at each other. So they're just kind of using that little ridge between them. But right now, LG is just taking all sorts of pressure.
And LG does get the res onto Axe, and he's going to heal back most likely with the first aid. You see him a little bit on the character that he's going to be bandaging up. So right now, the med kit is going to be coming through. So it's going to be full health Axe, and the rest of LG is going to be looking 3-man strong compared to the 4-man of Avangard and also 3-man of FaZe.
Yeah, I think in this case, LG has the worst possible path forward. They're going to use a vehicle here. This is very questionable.
This is actually a terrible
BB.
decision coming in from LG. That is the last thing you should have done with so much on the line, and that's going to be going down in third place, and that might have started it all.
Yeah, I think Luminosity was unable to pick up a kill there in the top 3. Going down now, it's going to be FaZe versus Avangard.
Okay, you get 3v3 scenario. Lumino might be res. We're not going to try and find the distraction towards their opponents, but Empty trying to fire some shots, trying to get the head peek of Onuktiv here. Drain is going to be on the left. I wonder if he's going to be spotted. Empty's looking towards the left a little bit here, but most of the members are towards the right for Avangard.
Yeah, Avangard now at the low ground. They're having to use their utility. FaZe putting lots of pressure onto them.
And Drain is spotted out. Gonna be the first knock coming in. FaZe gets knocked. So it's a 2v2 scenario. 3 members strong actually for Avangard. It's gonna be a lot of kills coming through. We're gonna see the finish of Avangard get the first place for the very first time. 2v2 scenario, and that's gonna be Avangard picking up the first place for so many discussions that we had on this Russian team. Finally, they regain their form. We saw it through the mid game where they held their compounds, and that